Details are being uncovered about Earl Cox's dark history. News 4 investigator Lauren Traeger is sharing what she's learned this afternoon.
Even before these new charges, Cox had a disturbing criminal history that involved assaulting and victimizing children. So here's the timeline. In 1975, Cox, who was originally from St. Louis, joined the Air Force. While he was overseas in the early 1980s, he was court-martialed and dishonorably discharged after being convicted of multiple sex offenses involving 4 young children he was allegedly babysitting. Then, in 1988, he moved back to the St. Louis area after serving time and getting parole for those crimes. Then in 1989, and this is important, he was investigated for sexual abuse on 2 7-year-old girls at a park in Overland. He was charged, but those charges were later dismissed. We're still working to learn exactly why, but a prosecutor said one of the possible reasons was the very young age of the victims and their ability to participate and cooperate in the case. Even still, because of the arrest, his parole was revoked and he went back to federal prison for a time, but in 1992, he was released again and moved to St. Anne and later Ferguson. Less than 1 year later, in November of 1993, Angie Hausman was kidnapped and left to die. Then skipping ahead 5 years, in 1997, officials say that he became a leader in a child porn network known as the Brotherhood. They say that facilitated the international distribution of child pornography. In 2002, he exchanged sexually explicit emails with someone he thought was a 14-year-old girl, arranging for her to travel across state lines to where he was living then in Colorado. But it turns out that person was an FBI agent. In 2003, he was convicted of a number of charges, including attempted enticement of a child and child porn, after investigators found more than 45,000 images and videos on his computer. He was sentenced to prison again, but in 2012, the courts deemed him to be a sexually dangerous person, ordering him to be held indefinitely because of the danger to the public that he might reoffend. He's been incarcerated ever since, and now, of course, facing these new charges. I'm Lauren Traeger, News 4 Investigates.
News 4 will bring you every update on these new charges in the Angie Hausman case here on air, on the KMOV.com, and on our KMOV News app.